day. 'Tis a bum or two they call me now, but what care I for praise? It's off, says I, in the days gone by, it's off do I repine, for the days of old when we dug out gold in the days of '49. My comrades, they all love me well, that jolly saucy crew. A few hard cases I will admit, though they were brave and true. Whatever they pinched, they ne'er would flinch, they never would fret nor whine. Like good old bricks, they stood the kicks in the days of '49.
The discovery of gold in the Colorado Territory attracted prospectors in search of quick fortunes and revolutionized mountain transportation systems, the mining industry, and the living conditions of miners and their families, while increasing the wealth of Colorado.
He resigned, and in his bloom he went up the flume in the days of '49.
It all began in 1858 when gold was discovered in the Colorado Territory. Green Russell and his two brothers from Georgia came to Cherry Creek in the South Platte Rivers in what is now Denver. They had heard from the Cherokee Indians in Oklahoma of a shiny metal that was in the waters. They began prospecting in the waters, but were not successful. Once they began on nearby Little Dry Creek, they found gold. When news of this discovery spread to the rest of the country, the Colorado Gold Rush was in full bloom. The Colorado Gold Rush was so large, there was only 1 square foot of land along the South Platte River that wasn't owned.
A year later, another prospector discovered gold in what is now Idaho Springs. George Jackson spent his days hard rock mining the hills of Clear Creek County in search of the mother lode. That same year, John Gregory found a large vein of gold near what is now Central City and Blackhawk in Gilpin County. If you drive around the Jeep roads today, you can still see the mine tailings on the hills above I-70. Change came to the gold mining industry in the 1860s when Nathaniel Hill invented the smelter. The smelter was a new method to get gold out of the rock by heating the rocks to extract the gold.
That lay Pete out, it was his last resign. It caught Pete sure right in the door.
Change came to the Rocky Mountains with the discovery of silver in what is now Georgetown. When George Griffith and his brothers, sister-in-law, and their father formed a new mining settlement and named it Griffith Mining District, everything changed. As the brothers split, another town was formed that was named Elizabethtown. Instead of tents and temporary structures, houses were built with a Victorian style. Eventually, both settlements merged and the name was changed to Georgetown. It was the first mining settlement where the miners actually brought their families to live with them. Instead of gold, silver was the new claim of fame. At the time, it was the largest producer of silver in the world. After a while, radical thinking emerged just up the mountain from Georgetown with the mining settlement of Brownsville. Clifford Griffin opened the 730 mine in the hills above what is now Silver Plume and opened the first mine in the Colorado area with working hours that were non-traditional. The mine began operating at 7:30 a.m. instead of the typical 7 a.m. Although a seasoned hiker can walk the trails above what is now Silver Plume in search of the mine, they will discover the mine tailings slid down the mountain onto what was once the settlement of Brownsville. I-70 now passes over the buried settlement. Silver Plume replaced Brownsville and is now a small town and home to the Georgetown Loop Railroad. The rush was on in Colorado. The hills were full of gold, silver, and the promise of great wealth. As the miners filled the forests and the canyons, small settlements sprung up along the way. In what is now Summit County, a small mining settlement named Breckenridge started in 1859 with yet another discovery of gold. Mining methods progressed through the time as miners used every means of locating and extracting the precious metal. This area of Colorado saw the discovery of placer gold mining. Along the Blue River, the new method of hydraulic mining was used for the first time. Hydraulic mining used pressurized water as a source of energy to extract the gold from the surrounding rock. Dredging for gold along the Blue and Swan Rivers was another method that was popular for the process. This method required much more sophisticated or expensive equipment than hard rock panning, but the results were successful. Although Summit County did not contribute to the wealth as much as Clear Creek County did in the past, it is now a wealthy county from the riches brought forth by tourism. Today, while stream fishing along the Blue River in spots, the tailings from dredging can be seen along the banks of the river as the fly fisherman searches for the prized trout from the stream. The Pikes Peak area was home to the most productive gold mining district in the Colorado Territory. When gold was discovered in 1891 in what is now Cripple Creek, miners flooded the Pikes Peak area to seek their fortune. One mine that opened in Cripple Creek was the Molly Kathleen. It was the largest mine in the area and a large producer for gold. At one time, Cripple Creek was the largest producing area for gold in the United States with a production of approximately $17 billion by 1990. This was at 2008's prices. As gold prices have risen to record levels, this area has produced a much larger value of gold at today's prices, as gold nears $2,000 per ounce. Today, Cripple Creek offers tours of the Molly Kathleen mine for tourists to see what it was like to be a gold miner. With the first stream of wealth came the problem of how to reach the gold. In the beginning, the main method for traveling to the gold fields was by horse and wagon. Due to the steep trails and difficult terrain of the mountains, donkeys began their place in the history of the Colorado Gold Rush. While the miner walked the steep trails, his donkey and maybe a horse were carrying his food and tools. One problem that remained was the transportation of the gold to the assayer or other places. At a time when it was most needed, the railroad became the mainstay for transporting the gold out of the mountains or settlements. The Florence and Cripple Creek Railroad carried many tons of ore out of the Cripple Creek area to be processed and weighed. Near Georgetown, the Colorado Central Railroad carried gold and silver along Clear Creek Canyon. The Denver Rio Grande carried the rich ore from the gold fields near Durango and Ouray. These railroads began as the workhorses to carry the ore out of the valleys and canyons until their slow death near the end of the mining era. Efforts to revitalize the railroads has led to another type of rush to the Rocky Mountains: tourism. The Colorado Central began carrying passengers up Clear Creek Canyon to Georgetown and then upward to Mount McClellan. Along with this new industry came the development of hotels and lodging. The Georgetown Loop Railroad boasts an engineering miracle as the train travels along several loops to climb the 1,000-foot to Silver Plume, crossing the Devil's Gate Bridge. The Denver Rio Grande Railroad is now the Durango-Silverton line that runs hordes of passengers between Durango and Silverton, Colorado. Remnants of the Florence and Cripple Creek Railroad remain today for those who wish to reminisce about the past. Life has certainly changed in the Colorado Rockies as a result of the gold rush that began more than a century ago. Large cities has developed in the very place where early mining settlements were constructed by miners in search of their fortune. Mountain towns such as Georgetown, Idaho Springs, Central City, Breckenridge, Cripple Creek, and Leadville all have a rich history of people that were willing to live in rugged and deadly conditions. Leadville is a town that is now the highest incorporated town in the United States. It began with a few mining settlements and grew to be one of the largest gold producers in the country as well. Many that made their fortune from gold in Leadville became wealthy citizens of Denver. As the mining industry died, the tourism industry gained in popularity, and the recreational industry took off. Old mining towns and settlements with good mountain conditions became ski areas. Today, Keystone is a major resort in Summit County along with Breckenridge and A Basin. Loveland Basin is the main ski area near Georgetown and Clear Creek County. Today, Loveland Ski Area is the main attraction and source of tourists for Clear Creek County. The one wealthy county is no longer wealthy after the bust of the silver market at the turn of the century with the Sherman Act. Colorado has had a rapid history of change since the rush for gold during its time as Colorado Territory. As the mountains became crowded with people searching for wealth and good fortune, the lives of everyone changed. The living conditions of the miners improved as new technologies for mining were developed and new transportation methods were discovered because they could afford more luxuries as a result. Changes from the normal miners' living conditions were the result of bringing women to live with their families in the harsh mountain environment and the increased productivity of the miners' transportation. Although the deposits of gold and silver were reduced over time, the people remained and a new source of wealth was created. The trains were no longer needed to carry the ore, so they were put to use as hauling tourists into the mountains for sightseeing trips and weekend outings from Denver and other cities. Once new technologies outdated the narrow-gauge trains with automobiles, off-road touring on old railroad grades came the next course of action for thrill seekers. Colorado has experienced a cycle of wealth which began with the discovery of gold near Cherry Creek and South Platte Rivers near what is now Denver. The discovery of gold in the Colorado Territory attracted prospectors in search of quick fortunes and revolutionized the mountain transportation systems, the mining industry, and the living conditions of miners and their families, while increasing the wealth of Colorado.